Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sean Harvey here, Success with Dynamic Duo, my billionaire sister from another mister. To the left of me, Julia Patterson from Calgary, Alberta, and our special guest, Michelle. Wow. I don't know what to tell you guys, but you guys need to fasten your seatbelts, zip it, shut it down, turn off the Facebooks, all that other stuff. I promise you we're going to provide you some value. Take this time out of your busy day as we're taking this time out of our busy lives and our busy day to provide some value for you. Take it away, Julia.
Thanks, Sean. Michelle, welcome. You don't know Michelle's from Calgary as well, so we're ganging up on Sean today because he's Edmonton. Woohoo! We were bugging him earlier. So I met Michelle at a networking group. It's a business group, and we get mentoring and everything through there. And I just fell in love with Michelle the first time I met her. She's just a really awesome person. So I'm going to tell you about her because you want to know a little bit about her. Michelle Post serves others by showcasing a holistic lifestyle. At the age of 19 years old, she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and the illness was so severe that her doctor said she wouldn't work again. It was a very difficult time for her as she didn't have a support group at home, but she felt compelled to make it on her own. She worked very hard to put herself through school. The career choice held no passion for her, but it served only to gain the approval of her non-support base. She made a life-changing decision to focus her energies on positive relationships and personal self-growth, and in 2002, her doctor said her illness was gone. I got goosebumps. She still works today with health in mind and helps others overcome their own issues with health through education and self-empowerment. I know quite a bit about Michelle, and she is just an amazing gal, and you're going to learn so much from her today. And Michelle, I am really, really anxious for you to share, especially the aha moment that made you make that decision to just switch things around in your life, because you know what? That's what our audience really needs to hear, is how when you're going through nonsense, I'm going to say crap in your life, how you flip that switch and just go for it. Because I know you've got a very powerful story, so I'm just going to let you go for it. And again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. So I guess just even to start with, my family was not supportive. I did come down with Crohn's disease, and I do feel that I've come from a family that I wasn't really wanted. And a lot of us feel that way. And it's my perspective and my experience in the family. And so over the course of years, and of course at a young age, the body attacks itself when you actually feel negative on a regular basis. And for myself, I did. I felt negative, as a lot of us go through suicidal tendencies and all kinds of stuff in our teen years before our hormones can rebalance themselves. And I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which for me, it's a tendency to not let things go. And it was very difficult because in my family, we held on to grudges. We held on to things. And so, again, it was a very toxic family situation. So, when my family said it was me, when I came down with Crohn's disease, I was diagnosed. And I went home and I shared this with my family. And my father very carefully sat me down and called me a liar and said that it didn't exist. I was making it up, and I was doing this to mooch off of him and go get a job, or I have no place to live. And I just came back from the doctors who said, you're never going to work again. You're so sick. Can we offer you the AISH program so that way you can at least have some income coming in? And despite my father's negative attitude, it's taken me many years to get to this place. Without it, I probably wouldn't have been so focused on, I can do this. But at the time, it definitely didn't feel that way. I felt like I had nothing, absolutely nothing. So, we all try and crave our family of origins love. And I definitely craved their love and did my darndest to uphold what I could do with my health at that time. So, it was years and years that had gone by. I had put myself through school. I moved to Calgary. I put myself through school. which was again was really, really hard, working a full-time job and then going to school part-time and then studying part-time, as well as now I'm getting older adult and trying to have a life and build relationships that weren't working for me. I was attracting a lot of people into my life where I felt I had to prove my self-worth to, because that's what I was trying to do with my family, was prove my self-worth. And I did stuff. I did volunteering services for many of the law firms. And of course I would brag about that. Look it, I'm doing this stuff. And my family, they just didn't care. They absolutely didn't care about what I was trying to do to be good to the world, to improve myself. It's absolutely crazy. And it was really, really interesting because after doing this magnificent volunteer services, I had grabbed a group and we went to Hull Home and volunteered to paint the rooms for the orphans there, which was really satisfying. And it was, I think, one of my first experiences with volunteering. And just knowing that I'm helping on that type of basis for something that's greater than myself. And again, I was single for a long time. I didn't have a family base of my own to share this with. So of course I'm calling up my family and telling them, they didn't care. They didn't care that I was doing this wonderful stuff. And that was in 2002. And it just dawned on me, after all these years and after all this hardship that I'm feeling and my body is feeling, why am I wasting so much energy calling them and telling them things that they don't care about, when I could be focusing on, there is a whole lot of people that actually do like me out there, and I'm not giving them a chance. I didn't give them anything, I wouldn't call them. I wouldn't build relationships with them. Anybody got too close, I would cut them off, and then I would go and talk to my non-supportive family. And so it just dawned on me, why, when they don't care that I'm doing this stuff, I'm trying to please them. So at that time is when I shifted my focus, and I started actually learning to accept other people's love and support. Not all of us come from supportive families. A lot of us actually do come from very negative, toxic families, and they wonder, how do I cut them off? And, I didn't have to cut them off. I just had to stop focusing my energies on them at that time. So I would talk to more people. I would gradually start calling other people that, enjoyed my company, and I could learn to enjoy my own company. That was a big thing. When you're trying to prove that you're a really good person to somebody else, it's really hard to enjoy your own company. And so I was learning. It's been a big learning curve ever since then. So it's funny because for myself, I don't know if anyone knows about Crohn's much, but for myself, when I hit confrontation, I love it, I'm animated. We all have the confrontation happens, and then you can feel your stomach drop. And I could feel my stomach drop. And with Crohn's disease, there was no floor. And, so stomach drops and oops, now I have an issue. So that was the big deal. So to stop putting myself into situations where there is confrontation, and that means with those toxic people, to stop my perspective on, how can I please you, as opposed to what do I need for myself? So there's so many different people out there that are in the service of others, and they're not feeling it, and it's beautiful. We need to get to that place of servicing others, but we first have to learn how to service ourselves first in order to be the best for others. So I did go to the doctor and had my stomach. I thought I was feeling something awkward and weird in there, and my gastroenterologist left a message on my voicemail. And I'll never forget that message. And it simply said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up. Your Crohn's is gone. It's not remission. It's gone. Right? What? Because that doesn't happen. So for me, it was my perspective of my life and how I was dealing with that, how I'm handling stress. And it's not to say that food doesn't make a difference. It definitely does. I definitely do love nutrition. I love to showcase nutrition and help people learn how to empower themselves in that capacity as well. But for myself, it was excess nervousness, excess anxiety, excess depression. And it's been a learning curve. And again, with the help and support of nutrition. And then, of course, lovely folks I love meeting you too, Julia. Seriously, it's so good to have people put out positive experiences. I'm maintaining my health. I'm maintaining my relationships. I'm wonderfully married to a wonderful guy who is nothing like anyone I thought I saw myself with before. You know, my choices in men are different. My choices in friends are different. And I know that we are all at choice now. And it's hard to believe you are at choice when you're in a depression, when you're feeling bad, and all those voices from your negative past come back to you saying you're not good enough. It's hard to know that even listening to them is a choice. And it does take exercise. You got to exercise that part of your brain that actually wants to focus on what it is that you want and what you love. And so I've done that because, again, you know, when you grow up in that aspect, that's how you know you're supposed to think. But we can retrain that. Just absolutely lovely. And it can take years, but it's worth it, you know, absolutely worth it. So I can't say enough about having this wonderful journey and coming to the place that I am in my life right now. And, you know, thank you to you guys for having me on the show, because this was also a fear of mine, was coming up and sharing this story and saying, oh, poor woe is me, you know, because it's not poor woe is me. It is, it's empowering. It's, you know, we can do things for ourselves. So that's
you said men and man. So I obviously know that you're a classy girl, not a trashy girl.
I'm
like
all of the
one
above.
man, but you're into men. So that's
Right.
like, so do you keep your options open?
Singlehood was fun. Singlehood was a lot of fun, I tell you. I'm not going to deny my lifestyle.
So for the viewers, she's dedicated and committed to one man.
Right? We call ourselves perverts, right? Just like our fabulous mentor leader there. But we're monogamous perverts, right? So our Saturday mornings are very trashy talk to each other.
WTF, Michelle?
Never.
That's awesome. So I think what you're saying is that you've endured some pretty big challenges, and most people, when they have challenges happen in their lives and the crap storm comes in, they have two choices, and they always cater to the not one that serves them. Would you agree with that?
I think a lot of people do that. Yeah, they dumb themselves.
You look at most of the world, and they're like, oh, you know, I got into an accident. Cars, this, and they talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, rather than say, you know what, shit happens. I'm still alive. I still have my health. I have freaking awesome friends. I have business partnerships that are amazing. I have a lot to be grateful for.
Gratitude.
And when I say this to one of my coworkers. I say, you know what? We need to back the truck up for a second, and you're alive. You have a car to drive. You have gas in your car. You have food to eat. You have a nice warm bed to sleep in, and you have great grandchildren, and you're still alive. So you have a lot to be grateful for. So you need to wake up.
Right? Like,
rather than have that little pity party, which most people do. Right? And I think that's the biggest part of life in general. I mean, life's an easy game. It's the people that make it difficult.
Right, exactly. We have the right to feel for ourselves. That's one thing. And thank you for bringing that up. I was not showcased empathy, obviously, with my story, right? Of what that was. And I felt as an adult, I didn't feel empathy towards others. You know, I actually talked about myself incessantly. Because I couldn't ask you how you were doing, because that might mean I might actually get to know you better and then feel for you. And so I had a really, really difficult time. And I couldn't stand sympathy either, right? It's just not my favorite thing. So with the many books that I've read, one of the biggest one that actually helped me out right in the beginning was called The Disease to Please. Because I did everything for everybody else, hoping and wishing that they would actually love me. You know, overgiving, oversharing, all that kind of stuff. And The Disease to Please was absolutely awesome, because in my own head, I was trash talking myself all the time, which a lot of people do. And we think that this is normal, but it's not okay, because we're being self-abusive. And that's what the book actually showcased to me was if you had a child sitting in front of you, would you talk to them the way you talk to yourself?
No.
And
it's like a form of self-sabotage.
It's abusive.
Yeah.
So why is it okay for you to abuse yourself? And I went, ding, 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 ding. Like I'm doing this to myself all the time. And this is when my relationships with my family actually stopped, because I did actually let them know I was no longer going to ruin my bank account to give them everything so I had nothing. I wanted them to have some courtesy towards me when stuff happened and actually call me back more than once every 6 months. And that's when I started getting yelled at for what a loser and a terrible person I am. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is painful right now. But the best thing that could actually happen to me is not be around people that actually talk down to me, because then I'm also not carrying that negative voice in my own head. So that way I can start actually. So it is a effort there, Sean. Absolutely effort to change that, because I did exactly that for years and years and years. And I catch myself now when it starts to happen and I'm starting to feel bad. And I did just a couple weeks ago, felt some negativity, PTSD syndrome about people being out to get me. And I consciously was aware this is what I'm feeling. And I even recognized, this is only a couple weeks ago too, so it's a beautiful growth, that I was afraid to build relationships still with people because I'm afraid that they're going to call me down. And how am I supposed to help myself in my business and, serve other people and continue sharing with people if I'm too frightened of that? And I noticed that one of the negative self-talks that I've had in my head was, I'll be okay if I'm dead. Which is funny enough, because that's what my family, they talk down to me to the point that they actually tell me even a couple of years ago that I should die. It's just nasty. So I realized I was very comfortable with that thought, because then nobody would be mad at me. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, so Michelle, start talking positively to yourself. You're going through this. Right now is the time to start doing it. And it's hard and it's awkward. And I started saying, I'll be okay if I live. And that was hard for 24 hours. That was hard. But it's not enough. So the next day I started saying, I am spectacular in this life and all others. I am absolutely amazing and wonderful. And that was only a couple weeks ago. And, you attract what you actually think, what you actually feel, and start feeling, I am so spectacular. And yes, you guys, love you. And I love you. So what you say to yourself is so important. If you want to have a better life, you need to start acknowledging what it is, the negative thought process that you're keeping in your own head, and overtalk it. Start overtalking it. Start making that conscious decision to start doing that. So the other things that I'm doing is every single morning, my husband and I, we wake up, and the first thing we think of is not whatever dream sequence that we had. It's, what are you grateful for today? And sometimes I'm just grateful that the bathroom is only a couple steps away from me, so I can go right back to sleep, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, oh my God, I'm so grateful for world peace. It could be anything, and you should be grateful for anything and everything. And for the same instance, when we go to bed at nighttime, it's not just gratitude that we have. It's, what do you dream of? How do you want to, what dream sequence do you want to start off with? What do you want for your life? What are you passionate about in your life? What is really ringing your love and zest for life? And you go to sleep with this amazing thought of, like, for me right now, it's having that house that overlooks the ocean, and I get to see the waves come crashing in, right? Like, this is, and I visualize it and I see it like every single day and every single night. And it brings me such peace and calm to feel that, places where I belong, of course, by water. So, the gratitude's beautiful.
Yeah. And most people, if they had dealt with what you've dealt with over the last 10, 15, 20 years of your life, they would just say, you know what? Screw it. It's like they can come back and do it all over again. They kick the can at the number one thing we got, and that's one life. They think, oh, it's okay. It's kind of like, oh, I'm going to go back, and kind of like a job as an example. I don't like that one. I'm going to go get another one. Well, guess what, guys? You only got one life, and if you choose to have a pity party and tap out, then you're really, and the reason why we are in the position that we're in is because of how we were brought up as children. Our parents didn't teach us, hey, guess what? Be mentally strong, be physically strong, be emotionally strong, and you'll have a great life. They taught us, don't spend money you don't got. Money don't grow on trees. All this crazy self-debilitating words that doesn't serve us. Go get a good job. Go learn from somebody that's never owned a business in college or university.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hypocritical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tell all my people going to university, university is a good thing for two fields, lawyers and doctors. Why? Because you're getting taught by a doctor and a lawyer.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of businesses are very noble, but I don't agree with the school system. So that might be a different conversation. But at the end of the day, I'm going to business school. Right. I'm going to business school. I'm going to go learn how to run a business. I know somebody's got an MBA. He has no freaking clue on the school of hard knocks on how to run a business.
I still believe in higher education. I still believe, I'm not saying that all of it is right. I still think that a lot of it is super outdated. I believe in experiential learning. I believe that whatever you choose, everything is hands-on. What I've learned and what I've applied for myself works for me. And so the same thing with the holistic care, right? So nutrition, what works for me doesn't work for you. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's mindset and where you've come from is different. What you've learned, some people have learned fabulous lessons from their parents, and that's fantastic. Not all of us have. So we have to learn to take self-responsibility. And that's the biggest thing. And I did learn that at an early age. I did seek counseling when I was a teenager to deal with my own anger issues because I was not the best teenager around. I was very angry. And so I did go and seek help. And at 14 years old, and I had learned that my anger issues were mine. I owned them. Nobody else makes me angry. And that's hard. I mean, I did that. I was a teenager. But it was a hard concept for anyone else in my family to get. There was so much abuse that has run through their lifetimes as well that that boundary was crossed, and they don't understand that we actually own ourselves. We own our feelings. We own our thoughts. It's the first rule of boundary. Everything inside this skin sack, that's my property, and I own that. And when I take full responsibility, my thoughts, my health, my wants, my needs, mine. When we take full responsibility, instead of saying, you made me do this, I'm reacting this way because of you. Do you know that you can change your reaction? People don't seem to understand that you react. React means that you're not thinking, but you change your subconscious on how you visualize and you see whatever the situation is. You can change your reaction towards it. So, if you're someone that does flight, fight, or freeze, right? You can visualize it. Don't put yourself into PTSD, don't do that, right? Get some help that way. But you can visualize a situation and pre-plan it on how you want to be in the world. You can go and find out what your value system is. Not everybody knows that they have a value system and what is most meaningful for them in the world. Find a value system and one that's going to make you the most happy to live by. And that's what you're going to follow in order to actually learn how to react in a situation. Discover who you are. Discover your own passions. Discover what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to and what serves you. If you're saying yes to too many other people like I was, then you're not going to be able to serve other people. I was saying yes to everyone and not living my own value system. So then guess what? I lived with resentment and anger in my life. So later on, when I found out what my value system is, then I don't have to live in anger because I now have the ability to say no to things that don't serve my own value system there. So, and then that way I have enough of my own empathy. Like I did touch on that, but learning to feel for myself first. And now I have huge empathy for other people. So things can still happen for me, but I am always still feeling how they are, what they're going through. And that will diffuse my negative feelings very, very quickly if I can actually have empathy, which means I'm separating myself from them and allowing them to be exactly where they are and allowing me to be where I am. And I can feel for them to such a huge degree. and know that we're all okay. You know, everyone is still okay.
I think the biggest thing for most people, and I was just as guilty as the next person, we live subconsciously thinking about all the craziness, but consciously we're kind of coasting through life.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, you know, we don't have to think about putting our clothes on and brushing our teeth and combing our hair and shaving and putting makeup on and all that stuff, right? We don't have to think about that. It just happens. If we were to actually think and focus on what we think about, we'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you doing? What kind of example are you setting for your children when you talk shit like that?
Exactly. That's a big one. That's like what you grew up with will become your saboteur. So however you were spoken to. So if you want, the best thing you can do for your children is improve yourself. Yep. The best thing you can do in any of your relationships is improve yourself. Get to where you want to be so that you can feel happiness. Because the choices you're giving your children when they grow up can be very negative thought processes, depression, all kinds of stuff. I'm not saying they will or they won't. They are separate human beings. They will interpret anything that you have to say to however their personality is. But the best thing you can do is give them the tools to know that they can empower themselves by empowering yourself.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. I was at a Tim Hortons a few years back when my son was really small. He's probably 6 or 7. You know, he was like a sponge, right? He's watching you. It's like the eyes are on dad, like looking at dad's every move, what he says, how he talks, all this other stuff. And we held the door open for grandma. She leaves. Held the door open for another lady who was pregnant with a little one. Leave. And this guy, the door swung open. And rather than him hold it, the lady behind them, it almost smashed him in the face. So my son grabbed the door and the lady goes, thank you. And the guy behind just kind of walked out like nothing happened. And I told my son, I said, see, we hold the door open even though that we have a significant other in our lives for those people, because it's not about us, it's about them.
Exactly.
Right? And then when we're standing in line, 10, 15 minutes, right? It's been a long time because we wait a lot of time in our lives, right? We wait here, we wait there, we wait at the bank, wait at the grocery store. We wait 2/3 of our lives away. There's a guy in there, he's talking to his wife, like my son's like, what the frick's wrong with you? Are you freaking stupid? And I'm like, so 2 sentences go on, and I told Buddy, I said, you know what? You got no respect for your wife. You have no respect for yourself. You should not talk to your wife like that, irregardless if she even made a mistake or not.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Others as you want to be treated, and you're just showing your son, who's probably 5 or 6 years old, that it's okay to talk to his mom and call him a stupid biatch and all this other craziness. You got to stop that, because that's a vicious circle that has to stop now.
That's how, especially for sons, if that's how they visualize their father treating their mother, they go into relationships and they reenact that, whether they like it or not. It is really surprising. They think that they're not, but they're still focusing on it. So they're doing it in a different roundabout direction. And I've seen that happen. Oh, I've seen so many of my families and they've grown up allowing themselves to be in such abusive relationships. And I know it's difficult and allowing, we still are at choice. I'm sorry, they're hard choices. Okay, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
But the sons grow up abusing the mother the exact same way the father is, so the mother never gets away from it. And it breaks my heart. It really, really does. Because I don't want to date someone like that. Do you want to date someone like that? No. You know, like we all want to get to that place of peace, love, understanding, being heard. That's where we want to go. So we have to showcase that for ourselves first. We have to do that, because how you treat yourself is how you treat your spouse. And this is one of the things in my beautiful relationship that has taken a lot of time, is if you treat yourself as second best in your life, you will treat your spouse as second best in your life. You will treat them exactly the same. So if you don't want to be abusive to your wife, you got to stop being abusive to yourself.
Yeah.
These are big deals.
We all have vicious cycles and circumstances in our lives that we all have to cut off, take off the incubator, bury it, and be the instrument of change going forward for the future to make the world a better place, have more peace and love, and show people that, hey, guess what? I don't need to know you to love you. I can love you as a friend because there's not enough love in the world, and it's got to start from within first to give it to the other people.
Exactly. We are all worth it. Absolutely. So the books for that I've been recently listening for audiobooks is The Power of the Subconscious Mind and The Secret. Although I still feel that there's still work to be done from The Secret. Once you've gotten to the place that you know how to do your own work, The Secret is perfect to help you retrain your brain and get what you really want out of life. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, listening to you guys talk, one of the things, Michelle, when you were saying about reacting, differences that you were saying, I look at it as react is basically come from subconscious. It's now. And when you take a breath, you realize now you can respond.
Nice.
So there's a big difference. And I think that sometimes if there's that, like in coaching and stuff like that, I found that if you separate the two, it's easier for people to pick up the differences.
Yes. Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah. So that's one thing that, it's just amazing. And actually, when you talk about growing and, do that for your kids, I have 2 kids. My daughter is 7.5 years older than my son.
Wow.
I started my personal growth after my daughter was born. Wow. So I see a big difference in the mindsets of my 2 children. It's huge.
Right.
And it's just, that just speaks so loudly. And my daughter is getting on her own growth path. She's grown a lot in the last 5 or 10 years. Right. And I'm so proud of both of my kids, but I can just see the difference. I mean, they're both different people too, but the mindset that I see from both of them, where I was and where I am now.
Wow.
And so it's just, you can't pick a better example of that. Wow. It's just amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because
it's huge.
Well, and it also shows how far you've come though too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can actually see it, like all the behavior patterns, And
it's almost scary.
it is scary. Let me share this with you, Michelle. I wish I would have had my video guy recording Julia's facial expression almost a year ago when I asked her to partner up with me in this Success with Dynamic Duo, because I'd be like, man, she's grown so much. It's major league to freaking T-ball. Like it's light years ahead of where she was last year. It's awesome.
I think it's awesome because the more you guys interview people who have actually had their aha moments and their epiphanies and have actually gone on to have successful lives, the more you must learn for yourselves, right?
Absolutely.
So this whole thing is a personal growth. Whenever you do coaching, like even Julia, right? Like you take something away from each person regardless of where they are. Absolutely. So yeah, they're beautiful professions in order to share with others as well as grow yourself at the same time. I just can't say enough about it.
Yeah, and you know what? It is what it is. We all have 86,400 seconds in our day. How are you spending them? If a lot of the things that we absorb on a daily, weekly basis are negative, and you're not filling your emotional bank account, you're in the red all the time. You're bound and determined to snap. You're bound and determined to be that introvert that don't give a crap about nothing else but himself. Right. Very self-centered, very not giving.
Yes.
And you live a very miserable life.
Yes.
You're lonely because nobody wants to be around a negative Nelly. Oh, this sucks and all that and this and that and all this other stuff. It's raining outside right now. It's -6. And you know what I tell people? They say this, Michelle. I live in Edmonton. Do I like Edmonton? I don't mind Edmonton. My kids are here. I love the province. I hate the freaking cold weather. My vibration is so freaking high that it can be -30 outside and it's 95 above here. It's +30 because of my mindset.
Wow.
And if I don't like it, I just jump on a freaking plane and go someplace warm. So who cares?
That's nice. The last thing I wanted to actually just touch base with was wherever you were in your past, because again, I don't like who I was. Like my family may have been toxic, but I'm pretty sure I was too. Like let's be realistic. I don't have to carry that around. I carried it on for another, when I actually got my help and stopped acting in that manner, I still carried the guilt, which caused a lot of depression and thought about it on a regular basis. And that was the other big aha moment, is that at no time do I ever have to continue carrying it? You can change who you were at this second. If you don't like who you were a second ago and you want to change it, you have the ability to do that. You do not have to be who you were, because how long does it take for us? Cells regenerate themselves 3 months. Within 7 years, we are completely different people. So make that choice to feed your body, your mind, your energy, what you want it to be, and who you want to be. And in 7 years, you are going to be that person.
And if you don't like it, take out the trash in your life.
Right? Like, yeah, right?
People that you need to block. Guess what, Michelle? When you said that, I was like, oh my goodness. Blocked. Blocked. I don't talk to them. Sister, brother, mom, don't talk to them.
All of them.
I need to do what I need to do, and the difference I need to make in my life and other people's lives that I touch. I don't got time for negative Nellies in my life.
No, I'm done. I'm done. And I hope you're done too. And I hope that the rest of you who are can actually learn that just don't focus your energy there. Focus your energy on your beautiful self. You are wonderful and amazing. And nobody can tell you different but you.
And guys, just so you know, we're going to end this broadcast real quick. It's up to you to make a difference.
You gotta go clean that now, Sean.
It's not up to Julia. It's up to you. Hello, I'm talking to you out there. It's up to you
That's
to change
awesome.
your inner roots to change the outer fruits. Thank you so much, Michelle. We love you and appreciate you. I'll be in Calgary on Sunday. Would love to have coffee with both you crazy Calgarians on Sunday afternoon sometime.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Thanks for watching. We need to get more people on this live broadcast. Invite your friends, your family, whoever needs to change their inner roots, get rid of the stinking thinking, and to get a checkup from the neck up. God bless you all. Love you. See you on the next edition of Success with Dynamic Duo. We are out.
Bye.